Maybe stream link. ओके ओके। नहीं नहीं, फिर मैं देख लेता हूँ एक बार। सभी स्ट्रीम चेक करोगे, साउंड सब क्लियर है?
देखता हूँ, मैं देखता हूँ।
सही चल रही, मैंने देख लिया, मतलब आ गई आवाज। यही कहा अरे।
बुलाता हूँ मैं, मैसेज डाला। हर्षित हर्षित कब आए?
देखो, मैं स्ट्रीम की लिंक डाल रहा हूँ ग्रुप्स पे, है ना? तो अब जितनी बात होगी व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे होगी अपनी।
अरे अमान अमान अमान, 2 मिनट।
बताओ।
अपन ने ये मीट का लिंक तो अपने अपने मेंबर्स को तो भेजा ही नहीं है, सिर्फ लीड्स को लिस्ट में डाला है। अपने मेंबर्स को भेजना पड़ेगा ना जी, इसलिए नहीं आता ये।
मेंबर्स को नहीं भेजा, राइट? और उधर भैया भी आ गया।
ठीक है।
तो मैं इन करता हूँ 5 मिनट से, या इन कर देता हूँ।
हाँ,
मेंबर्स को भेज दिया तुमने? हेलो भैया, हाउ आर यू?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Just give us 10 minutes, huh?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Good evening, all. We welcome you to the event. We'll shortly start. We'll start at 10:10, and after the session ends, you all are welcome to ask your doubts on the YouTube live stream. So please feel free to ask, and we'll start at 10:10. Thank you.
Hi, G, you can start.
Okay, sure.
हाँ जी भैया. Hello and a warm welcome to all students, faculty members and distinguished guests. We are proud to present first inaugural mentorship session, Data Science Winter of Code 26, Introduction to Open Source. What, why and how to get started. Before we begin, we'd like to extend our sincere gratitude for the unwavering support and visionary guidance of our institution. This event stands as a testament to the constant support and visionary leadership of the VIT management, whose guidance makes such initiatives possible. We are also deeply thankful for the continuous encouragement from our Pro VC Sir, Registrar Sir, Director of Student Welfare, the Assistant Directors, all SW faculty members, and our club coordinators. It is within this ecosystem of excellence and support that we cultivate innovation and gain knowledge through events like Winter of Code. Today, we have the privilege of introducing a community that learns, builds, experiments, and grows together. The Data Science Club. Data is the new language of the world, and we are surely learning how to speak it. Welcome to the Data Science Club, a space where curiosity meets computation, ideas turn into insights, and raw data transforms into real world impact. So, we welcome you to the event where data meets open source. Have you ever wondered how a simple line of code can travel beyond classrooms, cross borders, and make a real impact in global tech community? Have you ever thought about contributing to open source but didn't know where or how to begin? Today, through the mentorship session under Winter of Code 26, the Data Science Club brings you an opportunity to explore the world of open source, understanding what it is, why it matters, and how you can confidently take your first step as a contributor. This session is not just about coding, it's about collaboration, learning from mentors, and turning curiosity into meaningful contributions that shape the future of technology. I now take this opportunity to introduce a very talented and knowledgeable speaker for this session. Open source is where learning meets real world impact, and today's speaker is a true example of that journey. He has contributed to the source code of libcup's filters, a key component of CUPS, common Unix printing system used across Linux environments worldwide. Currently, he is developing libbdfrip, the first PDF renderer with fully permissible licensing, reflecting his strong commitment to open source principles. With his utmost dedication, he actively works with C, C++, and Bash and Linux systems and is preparing to contribute to the Linux kernel. As a GSOC contributor and open source enthusiast, he is here to share his experiences and guide us through the path of open source contributions. Please join me in warmly welcoming our speaker for today, Mr. Udhav Pathak. Sir, I request you to guide our students by sharing your open source journey and insights on how they can begin theirs.
Thank you, G. Is my screen visible and video visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So before I tell you my name, I want to show you this. This is not just a pattern of green squares, but this is my last year's contributions to in GitHub. So every green square represents a struggle, a bug fixed, or a lesson learned. And you might think that it's impossible or anything to get into open source contributions, but it's easy. And like as you can see, I too don't have that many of contributions in data. So before I start, you might ask, who am I? But as he has already introduced me, so let's get right into it. So like I have worked with Linux Foundation under Google Summer of Code, specifically with open printing. And my work involves heavy system programming, like migrating libraries from C++ to C and building PDF renderer. It is one of the projects that I'm currently doing. Now, but I have a confession to make. I have absolutely no idea how React or Angular works or like any front-end library works. You might ask me to center a div, but I will panic. But if you ask me anything related to C programming or how to manipulate a PDF file, I'm your guy. So before we start, one might ask, what is open source? So when software is open source, it means anyone can look into your code. So anyone can see how it was made or how often contributions are made into that project, and you can even make the your own copy of that project. So like you can take the code and make changes to it as if you want. One of the examples of this you might see is in the Linux operating system and Debian operating system. So Linux was taken as a fork from like Debian was a fork of Linux, and the main maintainer Ian, I forgot his surname, but he took forked the code from Linux and made his own operating system, which is popularly called Debian today. And Debian, and if you use Linux like operating systems, so you have used Ubuntu or any other that is a fork of Debian. So the open source projects are, as you can see on the left, is a room with unlocked glass doors. You can look inside and interact with everything. It is different from proprietary softwares, which are not viewed by public. Companies keep them in a lock safe with code of their software, and it is only available to people who work in that company and have access to it. And neither method is inherently better or worse. They are just different approaches with their own different pros and cons. Some examples of open source projects, as you can see, are here. Now, you can see the source code of most or all of these projects. One of the things to note is that Reddit was open source till 2017, and however, it has become closed source due to its gain popularity. And however, they do plan to continue contributing to open source as a company and releasing open source tools on a yearly or monthly basis. So, who uses open source software, you might ask? It's pretty much everyone. It's only increasing in popularity day by day. As you might have noticed that a lot of people are switching from Windows to Linux due to the end of support for Windows 10. So there shouldn't be much of e-waste. That's why most of people are going into are choosing their operating system as Linux. Most of like if you take a survey as well, most of the studies tell that 78 to 98% of the companies use open source software. One of the examples that you might see is most of the browsers which you use, for example Brave or anything, it is based off of a fork of Chromium. That's an open source browser. So now I will tell you about my open source journey. So how did I start? I didn't wake up one day knowing how to write a PDF renderer. You might think that that one has to be a know-it-all to contribute into open source, but that isn't true. Everyone has to start from somewhere. Even the people who have really great experiences of like 20 or 30 years, they were also at some point of time beginners like us. So I will tell you how I started my open source journey. You may take inspiration from it, you may not. It's just life, and open source is not just some one shot YouTube video which you can see and start contributing into. I would even tell you to avoid all of the YouTube channels which are busy in gamifying the open source community. That if you are not doing this, then you are failed in life. It's not anything like that. It's really a simple thing, and you can also do it. You might face some challenges, some experiences will be there that will be easy for you and which were difficult for me in the past, and vice versa. So I was one of those who didn't know what open source actually was. I had read one of the congratulations mail from our Pro VC to one of my seniors, Kana Gupta, and he had done Gsoc with Apache Foundation. I did not even know that there was anything called open source. Uh, and the mentorships given by experienced, like I got to know that there is something open source, and the mentorships given by experienced developers is something to die for. I wasn't even aiming to do Google Summer of Code. I was just planning to get mentored by an experienced guy who knew his stuff. I got to exploring. My tech stack was in C language. I didn't want to do in Python or JavaScript. I'm not saying that these are bad languages, but I just didn't have any interest for these languages. I was a C language fan, and I had an experience of coding in C since grade 11. So I just knew the ins and outs of that language, and I just wanted to do. So, without any idea of anything related to open source, the closest thing I knew about open source was Google Summer of Code. So, I was just going through the organizations to get some idea of what organizations that code in C are famous in Google Summer of Code. So, I read somewhere that solving issues of a GitHub repo is like contributing to open source. So I started looking through the organization, and I saw Linux Foundation. It was a name that rang a bell in my mind. So I opened the library, and Linux Foundation is like an umbrella. So there were many organizations under the Linux Foundation itself. So one of them was open printing, and I thought that I do print stuff, and I do have faced some problems or bugs in by printing through my home printer. So I just opened the library, and I saw one of the issues, which was of migrating the printing backend from C++ to C. So I was understanding the context of what the issue was saying. So I cloned the Git repository, and after reading the README file, I did the make command and everything. So as you can see, this was how the code base was looking at that time, and I was just like sitting there and processing what is happening. It were like next 5 hours of my life were the most confusing ones, because I didn't know how the make files and everything worked. So I was busy in that. Then I just contacted one of the mentors of what I can do and what I should try to do. So he told me that it was a simple change that I could see of how the code base will get affected, and I just tried changing one line of the code, and the entire code fell apart. Like the system crashed. And I was just like, if you can see the meme and you know about the context of it, you do know that this person, we tried to take one blue gems out of the whole statue which was made, and the whole iconic statue it was made, it fell apart. It's one of the iconic cards, if you do remember it. So I was just looking into it, and while not understanding, I thought of going through the documentation. I could not understand the documentation as well, and saw a gap which I thought I could close. So this was the first PR which I made, which was to enhance the documentation of how a PDF file works. So as you can see that this was just a basic documentation. It wasn't like I did some major code base change or anything. I just what I understood of a PDF library, I put that into the README file, and I was given some critical responses as well, that how I could enhance the documentation better and everything. This, as you might see, this was the one of the PRs which I made after I had a significant experience. This also wasn't as easy as it looks. Uh, as you can see, after the pull request I made, I did receive a remark of what can I improve in this code. So this is not a screenshot of a boss yelling at his employees or anything. This is like you can see, this is a mentor teaching a junior developer of how he can enhance his codes, and how his how he can code better. Now, after this PR had merged as well, after my Google Summer of Code journey, So I was on the top of my world, thinking that I have zero errors after merging the large code base. But as it turned out that I hadn't tested the whole code, and the next 2 3 months of after my Gsoc completion went into the whole CI/CD backend, which, as you can see, is what my mentor Till Campeter is pointing to. I would have to give a shout out to him as well. He is the original creator of uh, Unix backends, printing backends. So he was one of the first persons who developed open source printing backends. He was studying at his college and noticed that a lot of professors had trouble in printing, as at his time in 1998, to print a single page, one had to write 50 lines, 50 command lines. So he was the person who wrote 50, who made a centralized process for all those 50 lines into one single line, and then he published it onto open source. And he was later given a job by Canonical, which is the parent organization of Ubuntu, and to develop this printing stack into a better one. So you might think that why should you contribute to open source and what will it even do? So how open source changed me is that I learned to code. I most of our college classes did not cover the vast experiences that are given by the mentors who have their code running on millions or billions of computers at the time, and they gave me the confidence to how I can convey my expertise or like whatever I am thinking to other developers. So among all that, I just became a better programmer and learned and felt the joy and satisfaction that I also have done some contribution into open source. Now, this is the community. As you can see on the left, I was recently invited to give a talk at a mini Debian conference, which happened at Navi Mumbai. And on the right is the opportunity open source. It is an yearly conference done by my organization, Open Printing. It's mostly done in IIT Kanpur, and so far I haven't been able to go over here just due to the college exams and the conference dates coming together. Now, you might ask that this was my journey of how I started contributing to open source. Now, what I can tell you from my experience to make your experience into open source easier is I would just tell you to go through the open source software, which is GitHub. It is also open source. This is where you and anyone else upload their coding projects for everyone else to see. When you help someone else's GitHub project, you are contributing to open source. Uh, if you upload your own project to GitHub and make it public, then your own project is open source. Many projects have licenses associated with them, so it would be good to look at those and see if there are any special rules regarding the project. In most cases, you should be fine if you are acting with good ethics. Now, as we have come on the part of ethics, you shouldn't try to use ChatGPT. Like it's just a clutter, which is a mess for the maintainers or the contributors to clear. But you might ask that most of the projects look really good, and what you can do to contribute. As you can see, that a person is showing their code base, and they are like, "How amazing! It's perfect." But at the back end, you can see the clutter that's making the project work. So you might even be one of the people who can sort this clutter and like sort some part of clutter or most of the clutter. It's up to you, whatever. But there are a lot of opportunities that you can uh, contribute into open source. There is nothing has been completed till now. Everything is just half done. These are some interesting, like this is a website that you can go through. It has every programming language which you can imagine. There is a project which is associated with it. You can open this website and like see through the different projects which are given by one of the open source members. So the second strategy which you can use to find the long term, like how to find projects, is if you are interested in something. Like for example, there was one of the projects where uh, you can take the example of Linux itself. So Linus Torvalds had an issue with the operating system of his time, which was Unix. So he wasn't finding any good operating systems for his machine. So he just started making his own open source version of it, which later became as Linux, and it's the most used open source software which anyone is using on the planet. So it might be anything which interests you. Like even if you are interested in like making a cricket VR game, there might be a project out there that's that's doing that exact thing you are doing. So you can star them, and that's a unique way of GitHub to bookmark the project that interests you. You can find more beginner-friendly projects through this firsttimersonly.com. There are many websites here, like many repositories on this website, which tell you which organizations you should contribute to. And the way I was introduced into open source is that I just went through the organizations that were listed in Google Summer of Code website. You can like open Google Summer of Code and you will see the multiple websites, multiple repositories or organizations which have their own code, and you can open that code base, see, go through their issues and everything. So you would like ask what you should contribute into exactly. So you don't, like I told you, like I didn't contribute to the large code base on my first attempt. My first PR was into the README docs. You can also do that. You can find some typos in the README or in the code comments. You can fix those as well. It's also contributing to open source. It's just making another developer's life easier. That's just what you are trying to do. You can create readmes if a project does not have one. You can also search through issues tab of the project to get ideas on what you want to contribute. As you can see on the top right that a person is creating an issue of what the bug. It is also contributing to open source. You are finding the issues in a code base, which may help someone with the edge cases of the program or the library. So you are solving library. You are solving the issues by creating the issues as well. What you can also do is when you open the issues tab, you will mostly see a tab named Good First Issues. This flare is attached to every issue on what a person can do. So, like for really beginner ones, there is Good First Issue. Then Help Wanted is for like intermediate stage, and the tag and the issues which have no flares are open for everyone. Like they are open for experienced as well as the new contributors as well. So how do you make the contribution? First of all, you have to fork the project. Like if you go through GitHub and they have their own documentation of how can the contributions, you would have to download the project onto your computer, or like mostly what to make a pull request as well. You have to firstly fork the project as your own, then make the changes onto your whatever changes you have to make on your local desktop, and then push the changes into your forked repository. Then through that forked repository, you can create a pull request to add your contributions to the project. Now you may ask that how can an employer notice you? You can put your GitHub link on your resume and LinkedIn or Twitter, etc. You should be prepared to talk about your projects or open source contributions during your interview. It does have weightage in your interview process, and most of the companies do hire you on the basis of this because you might be a fresher, and uh, a fresher with an experience, even though it's open source, is called an experience center. So you would be two steps ahead of your peers if you are contributing to open source, as you already have the real world experience of contributing into open source. So, before coming to an end note of my presentation, I would like to tell you about the etiquettes of while contributing into the open source projects. So you might think that there would be a team, a big team involved behind a project, and you can just create any issues or anything. But most of the time, an issue is maintained by only one maintainer or like a group of 5-10 people, and they also do have to do work other than contributing into open source. Most of the maintainers are not even paid to like make the project, and uh, like they just don't have much of the time, and they are just doing it for their own passion. And like you could be polite in asking whatever question you have to the maintainers, and like just by not wasting their time, you can like whatever issue you are trying to understand. For example, you are trying to understand how the makefile works, so you can read the readme files which are already given in the project. You can do Google or Stack Overflow. You can even search ChatGPT, like you are just trying to understand the project, so you can use ChatGPT as a tool to understand how the project works. And don't ghost the PRs that you are making or like the issues you are creating, because the maintainer is just trying to fix whatever the issue or additions you are making into the project. So I would like to end my talk. That's any questions if anyone has, I can answer that.
I want to ask
Right.
one question. Am I audible?
Sure, Kritika, you can continue. Yes.
So my question is, many students want to start with open source, but they feel stuck because of the self doubt or the feeling that they are not good enough. And I wanted to ask, like, what are the very first step that you took despite that fear? Like, how can students make sure that they don't fall back or get demotivated after starting?
Yeah, true. This was also one of the things that I faced. Like before I started looking into libraries or anything, I too had this self doubt that I won't be able to do it. How could I do it? I don't even have like, any experience. That's what most of the people do face. That they do think that how do I even start into this such a large code base? So it isn't important that you have to make a PR on your first try. Like if you have heard the Hindi poem that tells you that a stone gets carved into another shape through the rope, which gets repeatedly slided in it. So, like even a small learning which you take through, even like a minute spent trying to understand, is you are learning that thing. You shouldn't like take self doubt. Like you could just contribute into the documentation. Documentation is a great way to understand how the code works. You are not contributing directly into the code base, but you are understanding how the functions are working or how the APIs are working. So you can look into them, and like you don't have. It's not necessary that the you will face self doubt if you are trying to take the whole and try to understand the whole code base at once. But if you cut it into smaller parts, it would be easier for you to understand.
Right. So here there was one query from a student here. So they are asking like a basic required tech stack to start open source, like a beginner's guide to start from your perspective. So like that.
So there is like no tech stack that you require to contribute into open source. There is you can see any project in any language. There is not a specific tech stack that you should have. They don't ask for an experience when you are trying to contribute into open source. You can just see the project, what language. If you are comfortable with TypeScript, there are a plethora of projects which do which are there in TypeScript as well. If you do know HTML, CSS, or Java, they do. There are projects of about that as well that you can look through. You don't need a particular tech stack. Even if you know how to write English, you could contribute to writing the documents of the project. One of my friends who contributes into Debian, so he just works into translating the things. So like he's Telugu. So what he does is all the operating systems do need languages, and Indian languages don't have a lot of support in them. So he is just contributing into the Debian packages to make Debian support Telugu language. So you don't actually need a tech stack. You can contribute to whatever you want. There are plenty of things you can contribute to. Like you just have to search on what you do want to try.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, Lakshay, you're audible.
Yeah, actually, I have some questions from people who are watching live on YouTube. So, can I share it in the chat and you can answer from there?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. You can share it to the chat. I will answer.
So should I read out the questions from the YouTube live chat stream?
Yeah, yeah, you can read out, and if you can also post the chats into the meeting, so I will be able to respond quickly, and there won't
Okay,
be.
okay, sure, sure, sure. I'll do that. Just a second. Okay, so someone asks, what should I know to actually start to contribute? Like if I go for CPP, then what should I know in that? Or when I will know that I'm ready for the contribution?
Mm, like uh, like I just told you, have there is at some point you have to start learning, and the learning curve might even be steep. So you can just look through the documentation. It's one of the easiest way to understand how the code base works. So if you are going through the documentation, like when I want to start contributing to new open source libraries, for example, right now I'm learning about Go language. So I am just going through the documentation of, for example, there is a repository called Kubestellar. So I am just going through the documentation of that repository and trying to understand how the functions are working and looking if there are any issues related to the documentation of the code. So I even like made a pull request recently that was about how the certain functions are giving their outputs. So you once you start understanding how the functions are working and you do remember that there was a function like this called, this one is the main function, this one is the secondary functions, this is one of the helper functions. So you will start understanding about how to uh, which what functions are asking what. And once you do know the context of those functions, you can look at the issues. And if those functions do ring a bell in your head, you are ready to contribute for those issues.
Uh, should we move on to the next question? I hope the doubt is clear. So the next question is, in today's AI heavy world, what is one new habit or mindset shift contributors must develop to really adapt to open source and get the maximum learning and opportunities out of programs like GSOC?
Okay, so about this, you shouldn't really rely on LLMs. It's a tool like Google. So you shouldn't rely on them to write your code for you. You have to write your own code in the end. You can use the help of LLMs to do research about that program. So, for example, it's just easier for you to go through the multiple websites. For example, the discussions in Stack Overflow or in GitHub as well. LLMs do help you in finding out about those things. They help you go through, like, say, whatever the community is talking about, and it summarizes it for you. So your time just becomes LLMs just are saving your time. You shouldn't fully depend on them to code. You can like use them as a tool, and as I said, that you can just contribute into. You can keep contributing, and you will just become independent of AI. Next question. You are on mute, G actually.
So sorry. We move on to the next question. So, the most asked question in the stream is, on which project have you worked and for which organization have you contributed?
So I have worked for Linux Foundation. Now Linux Foundation is an umbrella, so you will find multiple organizations under Linux Foundation as well. So for example, under Linux Foundation there is kernel code, then there would be uh, like audio based things, then open printing is one of them. There are a lot of systems. There is even risk v processes involved in Linux Foundation. So I have contributed in Linux on like printing side of those things. So the printing stack, like if you use Mac OS or Linux OS, you're not on Windows, but in the especially in these two, there is a library called Cups, Common Unix Print Systems. So that relies on like libcups filters. So I have contributed to that side of project, the libcups filters, because uh, like whenever you send a print job to a printer, the printer can't understand what you are sending it. It can't understand a PDF. So the libcup filters essentially what it does is that it converts a PDF into a format that the printer understands. And the project I'm currently working on called libpdf rip is also in that side of stack.
We move on to the next question. At what level of programming proficiency can I start to effectively search for open source projects and contributing to them?
You can start at like any level. You don't have to be really well versed in that. You can, if you only know, like I said, answered in my last question that my friend knows Telugu, he doesn't want to contribute into the coding side aspect of things. So he is just contributing to convert the Debian systems to support Telugu language as one of their official languages. So you can, if you, and like I answered another question, that if you start understanding the uh, functions that are in the library, which you understand through documentation, then also you are like, you do have confidence that you can start contributing into open source.
So the next question is, what are the projects we are going to work on, like web development, data science, data analysis, or anything else?
I currently don't have any plans to work through web dev. I'm mostly interested in Linux kernel only. So in future, I would like go into Linux kernel because that's what excites me the most. And I don't have that much interest in web dev and like all those.
Next question. When you pick an AI project, how do you check if it's solving a real problem, like in government or industry, instead of just building another AI tool?
I have no idea about that actually. I have not contributed to AI projects, any of them.
Next question. How to connect with project maintainers, because I am facing the issues in local environment setup where I can solve these errors while making the project.
I would say instead of connecting directly to the project maintainer, you should try to look at the issue segment of it or like the discussion segment of the project. You would find both of those on like the GitHub page. You would see a discussion section as well as issue section. You can even go through the README file to understand what issue you are facing. And like instead of contacting the maintainer, you can also post an issue that you are having trouble in solving this. But I would highly recommend you to not directly post an issue and go through the existing forums, or like there might even be a community chat for that, like Slack or a mailing list which you can see in the README documents. So you can, yeah, either ask there, or like I would suggest you to go through documentation first before asking anywhere else in the community, because what you are trying to find might already be there on the project.
Moving on to the next. Someone says, I started contributing open source, but the challenge is how to read and understand the large code base.
Mm, I have like answered it twice, but I will answer it again. So, like I told, just try to go through the documentation, contribute into the documentation if you can. The documentation will tell you what functions are there, and if reading the issues, a function rings a bell in your mind, you can look through that function and contribute for that. So and navigating, you don't have to navigate through the whole large code base. You just have to look at the small part where the issue is coming. You might discuss about that small part on the issues segment, like issues tab of GitHub of the project. So you can see of what to go through and which part of the code is important, and what you don't have to like directly start doing it on the whole code base. You just have to look at one file at max.
Moving on to the next. Which tech stack has low or minimum competition? I know only Mon stack. Can I learn Kubernetes, Dockers, etc.?
I don't have any idea about the competition, but I will tell you to not look at it as like you look at it like you look at JE. So it's not JE. You can, if you do want to have a try at the language which you are, uh, for example, you are great at Moonstack. So you can just try contributing into that, and you shouldn't see the competition around it. And for if you want to learn Docker Kubernetes, you can do that. There are great documentations for that as well. If you go through any of the CNCF projects, many of the CNCF projects do have what you can contribute, like the documentation of Kubernetes or Dockers.
Moving on to the next, someone asks, in your time, how many students had submitted the proposal in your organization and how much competition is among those people?
Could you repeat the question? Your voice cracked, I think.
Sure. In your time, how many students had submitted the proposal in your organization and how much competition is there?
So I don't have any idea of how many students support submitted a proposal for a project, but I do know that 11 contributors were selected, I think. And about the competition, I'm telling you again, don't look at the competition. You will find competition everywhere. It shouldn't be a thing of competition to you. You should like just focus on improving yourself to better, and not look at the competitions that might be there.
Hello, Bia.
Yeah.
I got a question. Basically, when we submit the proposals in the organizations in the Gsoc, so what things we should follow in the proposal or what thing we must include during the making of it. So it can increase the chances of being selected and uh, it will help in the in the acceptance for
From
this.
my experience, from what I have seen till now, is that there is nothing that you should include in your proposal. Like you should just tell what the issue is and what you are planning to do, or how do you plan to solve how do you plan to your next 3 months about the project. Most of the time, the maintainers don't even look at the proposals of contributors who have just wrote the proposal and didn't even try to understand what the project was about. So, for example, if one is trying to contribute into Linux Foundation itself, so they will just out of the blue, when the proposal deadline is coming to an end, they will submit a proposal. So we don't even, like the maintainers don't even look at that proposal because they don't know about that person. And if a person has contacted them, like for example, if they have shown some interest, solved some issues, then we would like go through their proposals, and they most certainly would have told us in the chats that they have solve this issue and they are trying to do this or that. But we are like most of the times, if you are like just you write a proposal and submit it in the end moment, most probably your proposal won't even be seen. So you should it would be seen, but like there is a heavy competition among them, and most of the organization receive like 1,000 applications for two projects. So, like for the maintainer is a single person. He doesn't have a team to look through all the proposals. So he will just look at the proposals he has an idea about. Like he for of the people he has an idea about.
I hope the doubt is clear. Moving on to the next. The question is, could you share a few resources that helped you start with open source, like particular YouTube channels, Stack Overflow threads, or blogs you personally used when you were beginning your journey?
So while I was beginning my journey, I went through like I'm not remembering what was the. I went to a video. I will share the link if I do find it. But through the number of people I have talked to, I have shown my PPT slides. So there were two slides which you can see. So this is first timers only, and this awesome for beginners. These are the two blogs which you can follow that do tell about open source. So I will like share the these two in the chat. Wait a second. Can you tell the next question till I like go through the.
Sure. The next question is finding and working on personal projects as important as contributing to open source, especially when we focus on areas where our skills and preferred domains are most relevant?
Can you repeat it?
Sure. Is finding and working on personal projects as important as contributing to open source, especially when we focus on areas where our skills and preferred domains are most relevant?
Yes, you can certainly do that. You can open source your own project to the community and you can advertise it as you want. You can. It will definitely increase your skills and you will get the experience and like you can do it. Next question.
I guess we are done with the questions. There are no new questions visible to me in the chat stream.
By the way, I've shared the two links in the meeting chat, so if you can put them into the YouTube chat, it would be great.
Okay.
Yes, yes. We'll definitely share the links in the stream chat so the people who are watching from the YouTube stream can access that. These are resources shared by Bhaiya.
Yeah, yeah,
These are quite useful resources, right?
yeah.
If anybody from the team has any questions, they can ask. Academics, your exams, and with that, with the you practice for Gsoc too. So, how was that preparation? Mm,
So I wasn't like preparing to crack GSOC to be honest. I just wanted a mentor who could mentor me of how my code could be better than how I was writing it. So in my first PRs that I made huge mistakes of like not initializing some pointers or just not dereferencing them. So I just wanted a mentor who could mentor me of how I could write a better code. And as for studies, I could not manage that part that well. I just don't have that good of a CGPA to be honest. But this was the side I was most interested into. I couldn't like do much of the studies. I was just not good at it.
So if you could restart your journey from the beginning, like if you could restart your whole open source journey, do you have any roadmap in mind? Like I could have done this better, or I could have done this thing like that.
So if I think what I could have done better was I could have gone through documentation a bit better. I do remember I asked like nonsense questions into the issues, but it was the good grace of my mentors who did not like take it personally, and I was also scolded a bit for it. But it was just my learning that I shouldn't do these things and I should be aware of these things. So what I first started is that I was just mailing mentors out of the blue, and I was told by one of the maintainers of a project that I shouldn't do this, and maintainers don't have much of a time to reply to individual emails.
Sorry,
So
you
I
were inaudible in between. Sorry, sorry.
okay. Am I audible now?
I guess you have to repeat.
Okay. So like I was telling that I did make mistakes. Like I mailed the maintainers of project without any thought process. And like while most of the maintainers did ghost me, one of the maintainer was kind enough to tell me that I shouldn't do this, and mailing maintainers directly is just a waste of their time. So while most of the maintainers don't have most of the time, but some maintainers do have time. For example, they are paid to do maintain these things, but most of them are not. So I was just in the kind graces of the mentors who told me before I could uh, go all round doing this same mistake. And the other thing that I learned, like I just became a better coder overall. And just that I don't have anything on top of my head right now.
Okay, I guess if anybody has any other questions from guys, you can ask on the YouTube stream too if anybody has any questions. Yeah, I'll just share the resources link on the YouTube stream. Yeah, I've shared. G, you can continue.
Sure. Since we are done with the questions and he has answered them very nicely, we conclude the event. As we come to the conclusion, it gives us immense pleasure to reflect on a day filled with learning, collaboration, and innovation. As we come to the end of this insightful session, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker for sharing valuable knowledge, experiences, and guidance that truly enriched today's mentorship session under Winter of Code 2026. We extend a heartfelt thanks to our respected faculty coordinator, Dr. Well Murigan, for his constant support, encouragement, and guidance, without which this event would not have been possible. I would also like to thank the Office of Student Welfare, the Data Science Club team, our President Harshit Bhaiya and our Vice President Aman Bhaiya, and all the organizers and volunteers for their dedicated efforts in making this session a success. Finally, a big thank you to all the students for your active participation and enthusiasm. We hope today's session inspires you to explore, contribute, and grow in the world of open source. With this, we conclude today's session. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Lee. And Aman, you as well. You have been great. Thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity, Bhaiya. Thank you for coming at such a short notice. And we really needed to conduct this session. This was a really insightful session for the people and for the whole contributors, admins, and mentors who are participating in this Data Science Club Interf 2026. And we are bringing a big surprise, hopefully soon, for everyone. So you guys have to be stay tuned. Yes, thank you. Thank you guys, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being a great audience.
Thank you Bhaiya, for joining. Okay, we can end. Thank you.